Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at virginiafarmbureau.com.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all of the wonderful products you enjoy, brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau.
Americans have the best food supply in the world thanks to a law passed in 1862. Sweet corn is a summer treat that many gardeners don't plant, but they could. And dairy farmers would like to see food companies stop using misleading labels.
Welcome back everyone. We're coming to you from a dairy farm in Hanover County, and later in our show we're going to talk to you a little bit about milk. But first, Dave Miller tells us about one of the greatest success stories of the past century.
The Old Dominion has 12 agricultural research and extension centers, which are part of Virginia Tech's College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. Each of these stations conducts specialized research to support Virginia farmers. One of the largest of these centers is in Suffolk. The Tidewater Research Station began more than a century ago with 20 acres of rented land, a mule, and a tiny white-framed two-room building. Today, it is one of the largest experimental stations in the state, with 24 full-time employees, close to 450 acres of land, and 33 buildings in the heart of Virginia peanut and cotton country.
We conduct research on corn, cotton, soybeans, peanuts, and wheat, small grains, and we also have sorghum here, which is one of the few research stations in the state that actually has sorghum research. We also conduct swine research. The swine industry has always been a strong historically in this area, and so we also have a swine unit, and it's mostly to serve the agricultural community and agricultural commodities that are important to growers in this area.
Virginia is home to Smithfield Foods Incorporated, the world's largest hog producer and processor. There are also many farmers with small sow herds and a large number of youth raising pigs for 4-H educational projects. The Tidewater Research Station serves them all, large and small.
The new veterinary feed directive has limited the availability of various antibiotics for not only treating disease, but also for production practices. And what we're doing now is looking at some alternatives to antibiotics that can be added to the feed that will help the growth of the piglets.
Along with helping farmers to be more productive, researchers at the Tidewater Station and across the state are also committed to developing and delivering technology that will help preserve natural resources.
These wooden boxes right here are temperature-controlled cabinets where we monitor ammonia volatilization from nitrogen fertilizers that are applied to crop fields in Virginia and really all over the U.S. and the world. And what we're really looking at is how much nitrogen is lost to the atmosphere from what we apply to the soil surface.
But research isn't the only key to helping Virginia farmers. From the very beginning, the extension teaching model has been all about transferring that knowledge to the people who farm for a living. That's why field days and seminars, along with a network of county extension agents, are such an important part of the land-grant university system.
You think of farmers when they harvest a crop, they're harvesting a crop to sell, something that's for their livelihood. When we harvest a crop, we're harvesting data, and that's our yield here is data, and that data helps growers be more successful. We use that data to fine-tune their efforts and to make production of any of these crops more profitable. So that's our focus here.
The Tidewater Research Station focuses on traditional field crops, swine, and other projects. Research on apples, berries, hemp, horses, cattle, corn, potatoes, sheep, small grains, tobacco, and even wine grapes is conducted at other stations scattered across the state. This research and the sharing of it with Virginia farmers is one of the major reasons agriculture continues to be the first and largest industry in the Old Dominion. In Suffolk, this is Dave Miller.
The first agriculture research station opened at Virginia Tech in 1888. In the beginning, faculty researchers lived in houses right next to the farm plots and could literally step out their front door to tend to them. In 1906, the first off-campus station opened in Appomattox County for tobacco research. Soon 10 other stations around the state were established to serve farmers in various regions in the Old Dominion. Different climates and soil types mean farmers need specialized results, and a lot more livestock is raised in Western Virginia. Today, information from Virginia Tech's 12 research stations and Virginia State University is shared through cooperative extension.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about planting sweet corn in the garden from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
More than 90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made a promise to our local farmers to protect and preserve a way of life they'd worked so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. Anyone can be a Farm Bureau member and enjoy the many benefits of membership. There's a local Farm Bureau in every county of the state. We think everyone should be a friend of the farm. Visit our website at virginiafarmbureau.com to learn more.
Been a while since you've taken a boating safety course? Visit www.huntfishva.com to learn about Virginia's new boating safety education requirement. Don't get left in the past.
My favorite NASCAR driver is Danica. My favorite NASCAR driver is Tony Stewart.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
My favorite NASCAR driver is Chase Elliott.
My designated driver is my grandma and grandpa.
My mother.
I usually call Uber.
Who's your driver?
Who's your driver?
Who's your driver?
Everyone loves sweet corn, but not all gardeners try to grow it. Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension says it can be easy to plant your own sweet corn from the ground up.
Hi and welcome. Today we're at Virginia State University's Randolph Farm. It's a windy day, so we're in one of these high tunnels today, and we're going to be talking about planting sweet corn. You know, every summer it's easy to find sweet corn at the farmer's market, at the grocery store, but wouldn't it be nice to grow your own? And it's pretty easy. Sweet corn doesn't require a whole lot, and it's something that you can definitely do in the home garden. The first thing we want to think about, though, are the different types. There are 3 different types of sweet corn that kind of tell about how sweet they are. And in your seed catalogs, you're going to see some of these terms like sugary enhanced is the second one, and super sweet is the third. And the only reason I mention this is because when you're planting them, especially the super sweet, you don't want to plant the other 2 types within about 500 feet because you might get cross-pollination and it's not going to end up tasting very good for you. So look at your seed catalog, look for if it's called super sweet, sugary enhanced, or sugary, and make sure you don't plant those really close to each other. All right, so you've got your seed and you've decided what you want to plant. Now it's time to plant. One of the first things you got to think about is temperature. Not necessarily air temperature, but soil temperature. Sweet corn really likes it warm soils that is. So when you put the seeds in the ground, you want the temperature to be at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So you definitely want to wait till after the last frost and then try to measure the soil temperature, either with some type of thermometer in the ground, like a candy thermometer or an actual soil thermometer that you can get at a garden center. Measure around 3 inches in the ground to see what the temperature is. Okay, so your soil temperature is the proper temperature to get your sweet corn in the ground. So how far do you plant it in the ground? Well, sweet corn should be about 1 inch or 1.5 inches in the ground. The seed should be put down that far. And you should think about planting multiple rows. That way you'd make sure that the wind pollinates it properly. So instead of one long 100-foot row, you might have 4 25-foot rows. And so as you space those rows apart, they should be about 3 feet apart. Now, one way that you can plant the corn in the ground at 1.5 inches deep is by hand planting it, going through and putting about 2 to 3 seeds per foot. And that's going to be a good spacing for the sweet corn. But another way is to use a tool like this. This is a push planter, a push mechanical seeder, and you can buy these for about $100, $125. They come with different seed plates, so you can plant sweet corn with them, but you can also plant beans and tomatoes and okra and a lot of other vegetables. So it might be useful in your garden. If you've got a large enough garden, this is definitely the way to go. So the way this works, it just has a wheel. As you push it along, it makes a furrow. You have the seeds that you put in the hopper. That seed plate rotates, picks up the seed, and drops it into the furrow. Then there's a little chain in the back that covers it all up, and another wheel that tamps it down. So it's a real simple process of just walking the seed, walking the planter down the row, and dropping your seed. So once you've planted, there's some things you need to think about throughout the growing season. And one is water. You get some timely rains, but if you don't get that, you need to apply water to the corn. So one way would be to use drip irrigation, or maybe even a soaker hose, making sure that the plants get about 1 inch of water every week. And as far as fertilization, sweet corn also needs a lot of fertilizer. So you can put some fertilizer down, granular type, 10-10-10 or something like that, as you plant or pre-plant. But then you can side dress the corn. That's making a furrow about 3 to 4 inches away from on the side of the corn, on the side of the row, and adding some granular fertilizer there and then covering it up. You can do that 2 to 3 times throughout the growing season. And remember, weeds can grow up. So you want to try to get those early. You want to cultivate, but not too deeply around the plants because you could damage the roots. So make sure you get them early, not too deeply. And then once the sweet corn grows, it's going to shade out a lot of other potential weeds. Now you can have other problems like squirrels and raccoons. Not a lot of ways to get rid of those, so remember to plant enough for them and enough for you. Well, for more information about planting sweet corn, please contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Chef John Maxwell combines 2 of Virginia's favorite foods in a special recipe up next in the Heart of the Home.
From our farms to your table, Virginia dairy farm families are dedicated to providing your family with nutritious, high-quality milk.
I'm Dan Myers, a 5th-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I'm Roy Vanderhyde, a 1st-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I'm Gerald Heatwell, a 3rd-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I am dedicated to dairy, my cows,
my milk,
and our land.
Virginia is famous for delicious agricultural products, and that includes pork and apples. Chef John Maxwell puts the 2 together with an Asian twist for a delightful recipe in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef John Maxwell, and welcome to Heart of the Home. We're at Meadow Hall at Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia, and we're getting ready to play with some Virginia food. This is a little different Virginia food than you might be used to. We're doing an Asian recipe. We're going to be doing some pork and apple meatballs on buckwheat noodles. Now, buckwheat is a big crop in Virginia, as are apples, of course, and carrots, and all those other things. But pork is also very big. So we're playing with a lot of Virginia food. And what I've got is a saute pan over here, right? I'm going to get that hot. And in goes some garlic. And we're going to let that fry a little bit. I know the right term is saute, but my grandmother taught me how to cook, and she used to fry her garlic. So when I'm cooking garlic, even though I'm sauteing it, I remember her. So in go the onions. And the mushrooms. Now, chop these mushrooms up but I only chopped the caps up. I didn't chop the stems up. Just want them softened and cooked. Because what we're going to do is going to mix some meatballs. So I've got some ground pork. And I'm putting that in here. A little bit of salt. I'm going to add egg white. I'm going to add some applesauce and some carrots, shredded. That goes in there. I'm going to mix it around. Turn that off for now. That's about ready now. That cold ground pork has cooled off those vegetables. Next to that, now I'm going to add a little bit of hoisin sauce mixed with soy sauce. So I've just pulled this out of the fridge. It's the meatball mix. We've got the ground pork. We've got carrots shredded. We've got the cooked vegetables that are in there, the hoisin sauce and soy sauce, the applesauce, right? And we're getting ready to portion these out. Now for the actual amounts of ingredients, just see the website, chefjohnmaxwell.com. This recipe will be up there and you can write down the amounts. Right? So now I'm going to just put a little bit of oil in this pan, right? And I'm going to start making meatballs here. Right? And I know you don't want to watch me make all these meatballs, so I'm going to put them down in there and pop them in the oven for about 20 minutes. And when they're done, we'll pull them out and enjoy a Asian spaghetti and meatballs. All right, I've got these meatballs out of the oven now. I'm going to strain out this juice that's spilled out so I can build my sauce. All right, so I've got all of this juice. Add a little bit of vinegar to this sauce. This is an Asian vinegar. It's like sushi vinegar. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it. And I'm going to add some hoisin sauce to this. All right, and once again, the quantities of this are all available on chefjohnmaxwell.com. So just go up there and take a peek. All right. That's about 1/3 of a cup. I'm going to stir this around, and then I'm going to let it reduce down, get a little on the thick side. All right, now this is still thinner than a regular tomato sauce would be, but it's got the right consistency now. I'm going to dab some of this on each of these meatballs and let it trickle down through to the pasta. So give it some extra flavor. And here we go. It's pork and apple meatballs on soba noodles or buckwheat pasta. Asian spaghetti and meatballs. Every week we make recipes using great Virginia-grown food. We make them in our kitchen so you can make them in your kitchen. Join us next week on Heart of the Home when we get to play with more great Virginia food.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on Chef Maxwell's website, chefjohnmaxwell.com. Virginia farmers have been raising hogs since colonial times, and Virginia salt-cured hams are known for their quality. Beginning in the late 17th century, cured Virginia hams were shipped around the globe. Along with Virginia peanuts, Virginia ham became known as the best in the world. Over the centuries, those ham exports evolved into a major meat processing operation, and today Smithfield Foods, headquartered in Smithfield, Virginia, is the world's largest pork processing company.
There are 30,000 roadway accidents each year involving cars and farm machinery. Farmers will be moving equipment for planting and harvest season. The slow-moving vehicle triangle in red and fluorescent orange colors and flashing lights allow for quick identification. When you see an SMV sign on farm equipment, slow down, prepare for sudden stops and slow turns.
Patience will save lives. Just remember, we all need to share the road, we all need to be responsible, and we need to be guided by the law.
Motor vehicle safety starts with you.
Is milk from a cow a nut or legume? Lawsuits against plant-based dairy substitutes allege that some of these products are falsely touting that they are milk with equal or even more nutritional value than dairy milk. So what's all the fuss about? We went to a dairy farmer to find out.
Dairy farmers and their products have historically had a great reputation with consumers, so why bother suing the makers of alternative beverage products? Tony Banks with the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation says while offering consumers more choices is fine, dairy farmers are fed up.
Producers don't have a problem with processors using terms such as beverage or food or drink. Their issue comes with the misappropriation of the term milk.
We have worked so hard to build our name and milk is something that people have come to trust for nutrition and affordability. And so there's these other food options out there that want to buy off of our name, basically.
The federal definition of milk is the lacteal secretion, practically free from colostrum, obtained by the complete milking of one or more healthy cows. Dairy farmers say any other product using the term milk is false.
You're taking juices from nuts or beans that don't need to be refrigerated, and you're putting them over in the dairy case right beside milk. And then you're calling them whatever milk when they're not milk, they're not from a mammal. And yet they're in the dairy case being presented as an alternative to milk, when the truth is they don't provide all the nutrients that milk does.
There are several class action lawsuits asking that the courts force plant-based beverage manufacturers to stop using the name milk. In fact, one prominent almond beverage processor just settled a $9 million lawsuit over the nutritional claims of its product, only to be slapped with another class action suit. Nuckols says many dairy farmers are concerned these products are confusing consumers and hurting the reputation of a healthy product his family has been producing for decades.
My grandmother and grandfather started Eastview Farm in the 1950s. We've been selling milk since 1959, and I think about what my grandfather did, what my dad and uncle, who are still on the farm with my cousin and I, are doing to make the best milk we can possibly make.
If there was no benefit in using the term milk in labeling these plant-based beverages, then those companies probably wouldn't be using the term. So there is a marketing benefit to using that term.
The National Milk Producers Federation has long advocated for stricter protection of milk's identity in the dairy case. Dairy farming has been under pressure for decades as our culture changes and prices for fluid milk have dropped. Having to defend the very definition of their product is the last straw for some producers.
There's also bills have been written by some senators to address the labeling issue of it, and actually in majority of foreign countries you cannot label a nut juice milk. You cannot label a soybean juice milk in foreign countries, and I think it's something that we need to figure out in the United States that's probably the right way to go.
What happens next? While the court cases continue, changing consumer habits will probably support the sale of both dairy milk and plant-based beverages. But in a state like Virginia, where milk is the official state beverage, you can be sure dairy farmers will defend the image and reputation of milk to the last drop. In Hanover County, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde.
That's going to do it for this edition of Real Virginia. We are so glad you could join us to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. Whether it's in your home, your garden, or your landscape, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.